Watching News at Prime. Let's get into this conversation now. The Special Investigating Unit says it has saved government about 8 billion rand in the previous financial year. Some of the funds recovered are linked to Transnet, Eskom and the National Student Financial Aid Scheme. SIU head is Advocate Mothibi, who's with us now for more on these investigations. Advocate Mothibi, good evening to you and thank you for your time. I know that you've just presented your annual report to the Portfolio Committee. I'd like to focus the attention on the Eastern Cape health facilities that seem to be under the microscope at the moment. 19 contracts flagged for possible fraudulent activity. What is of major concern to you as the SIU?
Of major concern, Toli, and thank you for the time. Good evening to you and the viewers. If I just comment on that, that is one of the latest proclamations that the President has signed, authorizing the Special Investigating Unit to investigate the Department of Health in the Eastern Cape. As you correctly say, we're looking at about 19 contracts, but so far the preliminary investigations are indicating that it could be more. And in that case, there's preliminary indications that there may be someone there who has unduly influenced the awarding of those contracts. And we know if I were to put it, it's the mother of the owner of the company. All these companies were given to one company, which is really something that has raised eyebrows, and the whistleblowers came forward, and we can already see that there's irregularities, there's wrongdoing, and we'll also look at the possible corruption, if any. Our objective is to ensure that if there has been wrongdoing and there has been undue influence, we'll have to make sure that all of those contracts are cancelled and we recover the money from this service provider, hand it back to government, and so that money can be used for public interest that it is meant for, and that whatever work was being done, it can then be done in an appropriate way.
Yeah. Is it a foregone conclusion, Advocate Mothibi, that this mother who is alleged to have been possibly working for the department and had been allegedly pushing for their child to get these contracts, is it a foregone conclusion that they could possibly be referred for prosecution? Correct.
Yes, that's collusion. It's collusive conduct, and of course, and then she becomes one of the perpetrators of this wrongdoing and corrupt activity. She will also be referred for consideration to be charged in terms of the Prevention and Combating of Corrupt Activities Act. As you can see, the information I got was that actually this mother is actually in the Human Resources Division or Department of the department, but she goes on and seeks to influence processes in the supply chain management. So it clearly indicates that there's someone in the supply chain as well that are working together. And the evidence is going to uncover this collusive conduct, and all of them will be called to account.
As we mentioned at the start of the conversation, 8 billion rand saved by your unit on behalf of government. And whilst we talk about the Eastern Cape health facilities, talk to us about the measures that are being put in place to prevent future losses.
Thank you for that question. That's what we presented to the Portfolio Committee today, amongst others. This 8.4 billion, it's a cumulative number of all the savings that we have done in this financial year in various aspects of our investigation. We've got the way that we really calculate how we have saved the losses that, if it wasn't for the intervention of SIU, that they could have been paid out, the actual money recovered, and those others that the contract that we have set aside at the special tribunal. Now, while that is a reactive way, and we believe that we must continue and do it well, investigate, come out with outcomes like this, take results like this, get the money back to government, we need to lift the bar and in terms of prevention. I'm glad you've asked that, Toli. We've been mandated by Justice Cluster to develop the National Corruption Risk and Prevention Framework. As part of that corruption framework, some of the activities that we are already implementing, if you can look at our statement, part of the framework is lifestyle audits. Remember, a lifestyle audit, if it's done and gives us the results, we are able to know corruption risk indicators, that X is living beyond their means, and that could probably be an indicator they are conflicted, they're a director of a company doing business with the state. That's one aspect. And we also look at the assets and all of that. So that's one part. The other part is the vetting, integrity process, and making sure that we use the data analytics so that we can do predictive modeling. So that's the part of the National Corruption Prevention Framework. It will include awareness, education going forward. We've seen it the world over, that the fight against corruption really, if it's only dependent on the reactive side, investigation, consequence management, prosecution, but you don't really implement the prevention side of the fight against corruption, we are likely not to really succeed in the long term. Of course, the reactive part is also important. The public wants to see consequence management in all of its aspects, and ultimately they continue to call for orange overalls. While we take assets, we take monies, but we do not want to take money and assets from these people and they end up walking the streets free. We must take assets and they must also be prosecuted. Then we can see, and the prevention side must also come up to really ensure that all the vulnerable sectors, including the whole of society approach, then we will see the continuum in the fight against corruption really, really leveling up, and we are likely to see good results after that.
Something apart from the prevention of financial losses in the state, Advocate Mothibi, the University of Fort Hare qualifications saga, am I correct to assume, it's not even an assumption, but am I correct to understand that that matter is not dead in the water? In fact, if anything, it is being revived. If so, how much work still needs to be done in the alleged fraud surrounding the educational or the obtaining of educational qualifications?
Right. That investigation is ongoing. And you might be aware that the president has signed now an amendment to the proclamation that is ongoing. Now, the implication of that amendment is that we will extend the scope. You remember there was a court case that said the scope does not include the master's degrees and the others. We have now, and the court, when it gave that interdict, said that we should go, because ordinarily we do that. We would do it even without the court injunction. But in this case, as the court granted the interdict, they said we should go and amend. We amended that, and that includes master's, doctorates, and other degrees. And now it also now extends the scope in terms of time. Because from the information we've received is that there's a lot to dig in terms of this fraudulent qualifications. So as we speak now, the investigation has pointed out who has been involved, and a number of those who have acquired, at least up to the time before the amendment, the honors degrees. Those who obtained honors degrees fraudulently, and we're in the process of referring those to the university so that they must cancel those degrees. The council, in terms of the Education Act, has got the capacity to cancel it. But if we realize that there might just be a delay, we've got an avenue of the special tribunal, because the awarding of a degree is an administrative decision.
Yeah.
So if that process is not going swiftly, we will take it to the special tribunal to cancel that administrative decision to award a fraudulent degree. So we will do that. So there's still going to be some work being done. The team is really amassing the information, but you will see the result being pronounced soon.
I'm glad you mentioned the word interdict, because the person who went to court to obtain the interdict was the Premier of the Eastern Cape, Mr. Oscar Mabuyane. Are you saying to us tonight that he is someone who possibly is going to lose sleep in the nights to come?
Totally, as we always say, really, that the proclamations are really not about persons.
Yeah.
It's about the allegations that we received that degrees were awarded fraudulently. Now, what do? We go to Fort Hare, we take the information, we compare to the information that we have, and if, amongst others, anyone is then mentioned and pointed out by the evidence, we will then make our pronouncements and ensure that if the evidence pronounces that X got a fraudulent or a degree irregularly, we will then not hesitate to cancel that degree, either through the University Council or through the legal process to cancel it at the special tribunal.
Advocate Andy Mothibi, thank you very much for your time tonight, and massive congratulations to you. They have concluded nearly 2,000 investigations in the last financial year, saving the state around 8 billion rand.